This is all about political parties. So, to warm up as we go into our political party section, this is a quote from Vince Lombardi. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. So, look at the quote, and how does this relate to political parties and what you know about political parties? And do you think political parties should have the same philosophy as Vince Lombardi about winning? Go ahead and pause. Well, welcome back. We are going to be thinking about this quote. When it comes to a political party, is winning the only thing? So, as we look at the role and purposes of political parties, you do have notes that you can follow along with this. And so, we want to see what exactly is a political party and what is a political party supposed to be doing. So, here we go. Here's a definition of politics. Poly is many. There you go, Latin. And ticks are bloodsuckers. So politics is many bloodsuckers. Okay, that was a joke. That's not the definition of politics. But I have a feeling that a lot of people kind of think that about politics. And politicians have a really negative reputation, and many people do call them bloodsuckers. But I want you to understand that politics isn't a bunch of bloodsuckers. So, one of the things we're going to be looking at are political parties and their role and their purposes. So, first of all, a political party is a group of people. And yes, their objective is to seek control of the government. And how do you do that? You have to win elections and get the office. So, maybe Vince Lombardi is right. When you're running and you're trying to get control for your political party, winning is everything. Because if you do not win the election and you don't have a majority in control, then it's going to be really hard to implement your political philosophy and ideology. So political parties do exist to try to win those elections so they can get control of the government. America is unique in that we have only two major political parties. We are going to be looking at some of the minor parties and the role that those minor parties play in our political system, but it's really difficult for third parties to get a hold and be a part of our regular political process in the United States. So we're going to be looking more at Republicans and Democrats. Political parties are very principle oriented. They can also be very issue oriented or just plain election oriented, getting control. Principle oriented, these are the beliefs. This is what a person or what that political party believes. So if you take the Republican Party, they believe in smaller government. If you take that issue and look at that, they believe in individual freedom and choice. They do not want a lot of government regulation. And you can go through the Republican Party platform and see all of the different principles and issues that they believe in. There are parties that are just simply issue oriented. They could be for the legalization of marijuana. They could be for stopping abortion. And then some people say political parties are just election oriented. All they want to do is win and get control. So, yes, America's parties are election oriented. Yes, they have a platform, but one of the things you can see is that they definitely have an election season and they totally gear up to win those seats. And yes, they win those seats to implement their agenda. So what exactly do political parties do? First of all, since they are election oriented, they have to get candidates. And so one of the first things they do is they nominate those candidates and try to find people to run for those positions in government. Then, once they get a candidate selected, they have to inform and activate their supporters. They have to make sure the supporters know who this candidate is and why this candidate is the one that we need to get behind and elect. And then a lot of grassroots organizations support, meaning they work the streets with their friends and neighbors, and you call and door knock and you go to parades and you really try to help people understand who this candidate is and what they're about, and have rallies and bring the candidate in. Political parties also act as a bonding agent. When issues come to be voted upon, Democrats lock up and they all vote together. Same thing with Republicans. The party sticks together to try to get their agenda through. Then, of course, there's governing. Once they win the election, the political parties governs as their philosophy would dictate and tries to implement their agenda. They also act as a watchdog. A watchdog sounds the alarm and points out and lets you know there's something not quite right out there. So, same thing with a political party. Democrats watch Republicans, the Republicans watch Democrats, and they report on each other and say, hey, look at what the Republicans are doing. Or, hey, sound the alarm, look at what the Democrats are doing. And then they inform the news media and the public so people know what is happening. So, when it comes to nominating candidates, this is from the convention a couple cycles ago. But when the nomination happens, the function of the political party is to find people to run, select the best candidates, and then let the public know who these candidates are. So if we have just been through the caucus and primary cycle, and for the presidential candidates, especially the Democrat side, there were a lot of candidates. And so the Democrat Party recruited a whole field of candidates that they felt qualified to present to the American public. And then they had debates, and the candidates met with the people. And we'd had a caucus in Iowa. Other states had primaries. So we can select which candidate we think would be best for public office. And that's that nomination process. So once the candidate is selected, right now we are in the phase where presidential candidates are campaigning. And so the parties help inform voters about who these people are. And since this is a presidential election year, we also have some Senate races, and of course the House is up every 2 years, and then local races. But right now, the political parties are helping people understand what are their stances, what do they say about important issues, and defining who their candidate is. What kind of person are they? Several people go out associated with those political parties and campaign for the candidates. They door knock, they call, they send out literature, they set up news media, they set up interviews, they set up rallies, and of course, criticize the other candidates, their opponents, for the positions that they take. The bonding agent means that, hey, I'm a Republican and I think this Republican is a good person, so I'm endorsing them. And they work together to say, this is a good candidate and they're worthy of our vote. They're worthy of holding this office. They stick together. They're trying to show that if you think I'm a reputable person, then you can trust me because I know this person, and this person has good character as well, and they are very capable of doing the job. When it comes to governing, this is how the executive, the president or governor, and the legislative branches have to work together. So, of course, the Republicans want control of the White House as well as the Senate and the House of Representatives. The same thing for the Democrats. Bipartisan actions are supported by both parties. Bi-party means the Democrats and Republicans do that together. And that's one of those principles of democracy. So we would expect that to happen. Partisan is firm allegiance to a party, and that can cause gridlock because if you are not willing to compromise, there will be no bipartisan actions. And if the Republicans will not give or take and the Democrats will not give or take, then it's called gridlock and nothing moves through Congress or nothing moves through the state capitol. That watchdog, these are the political parties that act like the police, and they are watching to see if people are not doing what they're supposed to do. So if you look at the news, President Trump is always being attacked by different watchdogs, letting people know, hey, this is what he's doing. And they try to sway public opinion in their own favor by pointing out all the negatives or flaws or perceived problems of the person. This is what we call loyal opposition. Now, sometimes it's tedious and we hate all the fighting and bickering, but it also is a check on people to make sure they're doing the job that they're supposed to do. America does have a two-party system, and you can look at some of those differences in our next unit or next section.